Welcome to Rural Health Pulse. I'm Jim Kinnear, Chief Human Resources Officer at the Indiana Regional Medical Center. In this series, we focus on ideas and stories impacting the health of our region and explore programs and initiatives designed to improve healthcare and wellness. This podcast is a collaborative effort of IRMC and Indiana University of Pennsylvania. In this episode, we are speaking with Dr. Hilliary Creely, the Dean of the IUP School of Graduate Studies and Research, to learn more about the importance of research in a public university, and also more about some of the exciting research being undertaken by IUP students and faculty. Welcome, Dr. Creely.
Thank you so much for having me.
Just to get started, can you share an overview of what your role is here at IUP?
Sure, happy to do so. So as the Dean of the School of Graduate Studies and Research, I have the opportunity to be engaged in two broad areas of the university. On the graduate studies side, I help coordinate our more than 45 master's, doctoral, and certificate programs. And on the research side of the house, I have the pleasure of coordinating and overseeing the university's research enterprise. So I work closely with our faculty, our deans, our IUP Research Institute, that's essentially our Office of Sponsored Projects, to help our faculty and students engage in research in every academic discipline.
Outstanding. I know IUP has a designation as a research institution that helps it stand out among some of the other schools in the state. Can you just explain that a little bit to individuals that might not be as familiar with that?
Absolutely. IUP is, in the Carnegie classification system, considered a doctoral research or R2 university. And IUP was able to achieve this classification based on the number of doctoral degrees we award each year and the amount of sponsored research or research expenditures, that we make each year. So we have to have research expenditures in excess of $5 million per year in order to qualify as an R2 doctoral research university. And in reality, the university expends far more than that in support of research and original scholarship. But the way the classification system works, we use the National Science Foundation Higher Education Research and Development, or NSF HERD report. And there are sort of a more narrowly defined suite of expenses that count in that report. So it is actually that report and the $5 million of expenditures that lead to our classification. But in reality, the university spends far, far in excess of that in support of research and scholarship.
Thank you. I learned something new there, understanding that a little bit better, so I appreciate you sharing that. Can you share just an overview of why research is important to a university like IUP?
For sure. Research is, for me, critical at a university. It is the original knowledge production in any academic discipline, and you're really proud to engage students and faculty and learners from all fields, and it's so important for a public university like IUP, where our research portfolio is largely applied. So we are out there solving real-world problems and helping our learners develop and refine their intellectual curiosity and how they look at data and information with a critical eye, which are skills that they'll take forward out into the real world when they work for the employers in our region.
So as you think about that, one of the questions I was going to ask you, and I think you've answered it, was why is it important for students to engage in research? And so those critical thinking skills are particularly one of the benefits of being involved in the research. Any other benefits for students?
Absolutely. There's a ton of data, especially from the Council on Undergraduate Research, that really shows the powerful and transformative effect that engagement in student research, and here I mean research broadly, so really any knowledge production, has on students' ability to be retained in higher ed and persist in their majors and move on towards graduation. And also it's also a ton of really powerful research on sort of identity formation and how the students become more effective advocates and self-aware and have ownership of the knowledge and the knowledge generation process. And that leads to great benefits in their success in their chosen disciplines.
And I would imagine some people might think that student involvement in research is primarily doctoral students or master's students. Can you share any insights of how undergraduate students are also part of research?
That's another great thing about IUP and regional public universities like ours is we really pride ourselves in engaging students in research from their first day on campus. all of the data shows that the benefits of engagement in these experiential learning activities is that the sooner you have these opportunities, the better for your overall growth as a learner at the university and your success in your discipline and your opportunities in the world beyond higher ed when you graduate from IUP. So at IUP, we have our summer opportunities for advancing research. We call it USOAR for the Undergraduate Summer Opportunities for Advancing Research. And that's an opportunity for our undergrad students to work closely with a faculty mentor in a multi-week summer program. The students design a research project and engage in it under the mentorship and advisement of one of our faculty members. And it's just a really great experience for students to tackle a project and really devote time to it. And we compensate our students for this work, and in many cases it allows the students to devote more time to a study that is more in line with their academic and career objectives than other part-time employment they might obtain in the summer.
So rather than just having that summer job, they do something that really is enhancing their overall educational experience and future career possibilities.
Absolutely. And a lot of those students end up creating great projects that produce publishable results. So the university additionally supports our students through funding opportunities to attend and present your scholarly work at professional conferences, opportunities to engage in professional development, and opportunities to offset the costs of peer-reviewed publication. So we want to have that work that's created by our undergraduate and our graduate students out there and disseminated in the world.
And I can just imagine an undergraduate student coming to IUP thinking they're just coming for a 4-year degree, but then being inspired to perhaps pursue further studies because of the curiosity from being involved in some of these research opportunities.
A lot of the really exciting feedback we get from students after each year's Scholars Forum is just that the students didn't know that they could do research, they didn't know what that meant, and that through having this experience, they have much more confidence, much more intellectual curiosity, much better skill set to think about how to frame a question and then research it and come up with answers and test hypotheses. And a lot of them develop a passion for this type of lifelong learning. And many go on to pursue advanced degrees when they came to the university thinking that they were just going to come, as you said, for 4 years and get the baccalaureate degree and jump into the workforce, but have developed such a passion for their field of study and so many questions, so much intellectual curiosity that they want to pursue more. And so we have many, many talented undergraduate students that stay on at IUP or one of our sister schools to pursue advanced study at the master's and doctoral level.
Yeah, it's just really exciting just to hear in your voice and that idea of that passion for scholarship and knowledge that can emerge through that process.
It's one of the most exciting things about my job is seeing students develop that spark and then really run with it.
So you mentioned a few examples, but are there other things that IUP does to support student and faculty research?
Another thing we do each year is our annual Scholars Forum, which is a real celebration of the original research and scholarship that's happening in every corner of our campus. And it's a chance to bring together our undergraduate students and our graduate students who have worked with faculty mentors over the course of the academic year on new projects, and to present that here on campus at our Kovalchik Convention Athletic Center in a very professional conference setting. Really great chance to see what all of our students are working on and to have conversations that often lead to new collaborations and new research projects. It's a really great showcase of the cool things that are happening on our campus. In terms of other support for research, one of our points of pride is our IUP Research Institute, which is essentially our Office of Sponsored Projects. It's actually run as a separate 501c3 for some complicated reasons that I won't go into, but we're really fortunate to have such a great asset in the Research Institute as a really refined research administration infrastructure to support our faculty and staff as they pursue extramural funding in support of research and other important activities.
Thank you for sharing that. And you mentioned the Scholars Forum, and if I'm not mistaken, there's even opportunities not just for IUP students to be involved, but high school students are pulled into some of those activities as well. Is that correct?
Yep, absolutely. Over the past years, we've welcomed a number of high school students to participate in the Scholars Forum and to present the work that they have done in collaboration with IUP faculty. And it's wonderful to see that nice pathway of younger learners that are also excited about research and have their own questions, and have the opportunity to engage in that research and come and present it in this forum and really, get a taste for what university is going to be like when they transition to college themselves. So it's been really great to have the high school students participate in these research activities as well.
That's fantastic to get that early exposure and spark that interest at that high school age, not just the college age. I want to also follow up a little bit about the Research Institute. Can you give maybe one or two examples of some really important initiatives or outcomes from the Research Institute?
So having an Office of Sponsored Projects that's as effective as ours has been a great asset. It's really allowed our faculty who carry a quite heavy teaching load to be even more successful in pursuing extramural grants. So last year, for example, IUP had a high water mark of bringing in about $19.8 million in extramural funding to support projects. So this is money that's coming from outside of the university to support the activities of the university. And this is fantastic for us. This means that the university and its students have access to cutting-edge equipment and resources and technologies that they wouldn't otherwise be able to have access to. It means our faculty have funded time to do these really innovative projects, and quite frequently these grant funds have student wages written in, so we're able to compensate our students for their time and efforts on the research projects. So it's really a win for everyone, and a big win for our region and our nation, as the projects that our students and faculty are working on are quite often addressing very real-world problems that affect all of us. And so we're gaining new knowledge and tackling real-world problems at the same time.
Thanks for sharing that. And as you were talking a little bit about the funding coming in through the Research Institute, I was just thinking about the ripple effect beyond IUP just into the broader Indiana community as well, from having that all occurring here in our area.
Absolutely. And I know other Rural Health Pulse sessions have talked about some of the really innovative research that's happening at IUP. And so I won't go into too much detail about those here, but a lot of our projects involve regional partners. I think one of our most exciting that's happening now, we have a very large grant under the leadership of Dr. Walid Farag on cybersecurity, and it partners with many community colleges across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to create pathways for success in cybersecurity, which is a huge workforce need. And so if we can engage students from high school through community college on to places like IUP to develop training in cybersecurity, we're creating a workforce to meet a tremendous need. And it was a very large grant that will, by the end of the project, be in excess of, I want to say $10 million.
And what an important issue across so many industries. When you think of the Indiana community, banking is very important to our area, healthcare is very important to our area, obviously higher education, and all of those are tremendously concerned about cybersecurity issues.
Absolutely.
So, very relevant. And I think that's another point is, as you were mentioning earlier, the applied research, this just isn't theories and knowledge for the sake of knowledge. There's really practical applications that are very useful and valuable that are coming forth from some of this research.
Exactly. There's, of course, some of the fundamental basic research happening at IUP, and that research is important and exciting. But the majority of our portfolio is exactly that, these very real-world applied application-based problem solving for our region. And I think those are really exciting, in particular for our students, to really feel like they're jumping in and solving a problem, using their skills to help their community. And I think that really resonates with the students that we attract at IUP.
So one of the other big developments happening here at IUP is the efforts to the new College of Osteopathic Medicine. What will that mean for research at IUP?
Yeah, the prospective College of Osteopathic Medicine is incredibly exciting for us at IUP for a ton of reasons. But the one I'll focus on here is the really exciting research directions that we'll be able to head with a College of Medicine as we bring in these additional faculty that are also physicians and bring their expertise. There are so many collaborations and doors that will be opened for new avenues of research for not just the medical students, but the students in other disciplines and the faculty in other disciplines at IUP as well. I mean, I think about the impact we could have on rural public health and on disease and health disparities. I think there are just tremendous opportunities and research avenues and plenty of funding, extramural funding sources that we've not historically tapped, but that having a School of Medicine will help us be much more successful in receiving extramural funding from those agencies. And that, again, like I said earlier, really is a win for everyone.
Absolutely. And as we were talking earlier about how that applied research benefits the community, in particular, that applied research around rural health challenges will have that direct impact on the greater Indiana
Absolutely.
community.
We have a rich source of data in our community to be able to work with community partners to understand what are some of the most pressing challenges and to really use our researchers and our students to think about what some authentic community-based solutions to those problems might be and to attract funding to help us support finding the answers and delivering those solutions to our community.
Excellent. What else do you think you would like for individuals to know about IUP and research that's occurring here?
That IUP is a gem, really important for the Commonwealth, really exciting place to be. We have so many great things happening. Again, as an R2 doctoral research university, really stand out and really embrace our doctoral research mission. And that makes us a little different than some of the other public universities among the Pennsylvania state system of higher education. Again, as I've said before, our students are engaged learners and really taking these transformative research opportunities to address real-world problems and make a big difference in our community and to become lifelong, engaged, curious learners.
For my own graduate experiences here at IUP, I know the Applied Research Lab is also one of the ways that faculties and students are supported with research. Could you tell us a little bit about the Applied Research Lab and what it does?
The Applied Research Lab is a great gem at IUP. It is a place where students and faculty can go to get help for their research project from beginning to end. So from thinking about how to conceptualize a research question and how to frame that question so that it will generate the data that you need and want, to figuring out what are the best research tools to collect data, through how to analyze that data and what statistical tools might be most useful or appropriate to analyze that data, to thinking about how to present and organize that information, and through to where and how one might publish that new information. So really cradle to grave how to think about doing a successful research project. So we're quite fortunate to have the Applied Research Lab at IUP.
And I'm sure students and faculty, but students probably in particular, that maybe are doing research for the first time, really appreciate having that expertise and guidance and reassurance throughout the process.
That's right. It's one thing to have especially for our graduate students who have a doctoral dissertation mentor or a thesis supervisor. Of course, those faculty are great sources of information, but to then additionally have the Applied Research Lab to sort of bolster and support the things that our students are learning in the classroom and learning from their thesis or dissertation chair, to be able to have this additional resource that supports students through the process and where students can go with really technical questions and get really specific guidance on, what is the right statistical test to use here in these circumstances in my academic discipline that might be a little different than others. It's a wonderful and rich resource for our folks to be successful in creating powerful research.
I'm sure of that, and I think they do a fantastic job at the Applied Research Lab. Another really unique thing here at IUP is the Makerspace. I was wondering if you could just give us a description of what the Makerspace is and how that might also connect to some of the research activities.
Absolutely. We're really fortunate to have this fantastic Makerspace at IUP called STEAM Shop. Makerspaces, for those that are maybe less familiar, are places where folks can translate ideas into physical objects. So through things like 3D printing, rapid prototyping. It's a great resource here on the IUP campus. And in terms of how STEAM Shop intersects with research, it is a place where folks can go to make instrumentation, to prototype things, to try out ideas, using all kinds of different technologies. Through a very recent Build Back Better subaward, the institution received a little over $1 million to support our makerspace. and then an additional little less than $1 million to support the makerspace and some other research areas on campus as well. And those extramural funds are really transformative for our makerspace in terms of bringing in new equipment, so 5-axis mill, 3-axis mills for CNC, laser cutting, more 3D printers, more types of filament. I mean, really, if you want to make it, you can do it in our makerspace. But really useful tool for researchers who may be thinking about, for the types of experiments I'm running, I need a type of tool or instrument that doesn't exist. So I'm going to develop it, design it. I can run down to the makerspace and make it, and then use it in my research project. 3D printing is another example, taking scans of artifacts, for example, that may be too precious to handle, but making high-resolution scans of them and then 3D printing them allows folks to manipulate them and, importantly, share them in their teaching so the students can manipulate and have access to these objects that may be too inaccessible or precious to otherwise handle. So those are just some of the examples of how our researchers intersect with our makerspace.
And that's just fascinating to think of that idea of how something, as you've already said, but it's worth repeating, from an idea to being a physical object. And from an experiential learning and a tactile learning standpoint, how that could have value and benefit.
Absolutely. And there's a really nice intersection there of, as you translate and create objects, thinking about, it solves a problem for me. Is this also a marketable object? Is there commercial value in what I'm developing? So through our makerspace, we also work closely with our partners in the Eberly College of Business and with our, economic development offices to help folks translate, these into potential commercial businesses. So I think there's a real opportunity there for development beyond the academy, commercialization potentially, starting up new businesses. So that's another way that I think universities can have a powerful impact on the region as our students and community members both use the makerspace and create new products and think about the markets for them. And there's really nice opportunity there for development of new businesses as well.
Yeah, very exciting just to think about the opportunities for innovation and commercialization that has those broader impacts overall on society. I also know that a really important part of research is the ethical and compliance aspects of research. Can you tell a little bit about what your role is there and what are some of the things that are done at IUP to ensure those considerations are also addressed?
IUP is really fortunate to have a really strong culture of compliance, and that is helped in large part by our just tremendously helpful Institutional Review Board for the Protection of Human Subjects, or IRB. A lot of the research that we do involves human subjects. Most of it is survey research. But having a really exceptional chair of our IRB that is open to all questions and is incredibly responsive really helps our community ask the right questions before starting their research. And that makes sure that everyone is protected and that everything is done in a way that is compliant, which is just really important. And same is true for our Institutional Animal Care and Use Committee, or IACUC, that again protects the university, our animal research subjects, and ensures compliance. These are really important parts for ensuring the public trust in the research that we do. And so I'm really, really very proud of the efforts that the university takes to ensure research compliance.
Thanks for sharing that. And just listening in general to our conversation today, I guess I'm really impressed with when we think about research, we probably initially think about the faculty and maybe the students that are actually conducting the research and generating those ideas. Obviously very critical to that process, but they're really well supported here by the Research Institute in terms of how to fund those projects, by the Applied Research Lab of how to conduct those and what are the considerations and guidance through that process. And the IRB, in addition to ensuring the ethical compliance, often can help identify questions or issues with research studies in terms of the design that might be important before they're conducted. And a lot of people behind the scenes that are really supporting those research efforts.
That's exactly right. We're really fortunate to have such a infrastructure that's sort of hidden, as it should be, to support our students and our faculty and help them be wildly successful in their research efforts so that to the best of their abilities, they are able to focus on the research and the innovation and the questions and engaging students and solving these real world problems. And the infrastructure behind the scenes can support and nurture and make sure that our folks are able to do all of this exciting work.
I love that word, nurture. I think it's a great way to think about the environment here. Thank you so much for sharing those insights.
Thank you.
Well, Dr. Creely, this has been a very informative conversation, and I just want to thank you for enlightening our listeners about research at IUP. It's really exciting to hear what's been done and what is to come in the future.
Thanks so much for the opportunity to talk today.
Research plays a critical role in the creation of new knowledge and helps universities such as IUP to fulfill their societal mission. Research also offers the opportunity to address rural health challenges with evidence-based solutions. Rural Health Pulse is a collaborative effort of the Indiana Regional Medical Center, Indiana University of Pennsylvania, and the Indiana community. It is produced by Chris Korn from IUP's Division of University Advancement and recorded by the IUP Communications Media. I'm Jim Kinnear. Thank you for listening, and be sure to watch for future episodes of Rural Health Pulse.